Audio specialist Comica recently got in touch and said, "Hey Simon, we love your videos. Would you like to have a look at our new wireless microphones?" And I said, "Sure thing, but can you send me them for iPhone and for Android? Because I want to test them on both." And they did. So I'm going to test them out and you can hear what they sound like on both iPhone and Android. Now, smartphones do come with some really great microphones inbuilt, especially the top range flagship devices like this one, which is the iPhone 14 Pro. And I'm using it now with just the inbuilt mic, but I think you can hear that it's pretty echoey. So if you want even better sound, you need to connect an external mic. And I was actually standing pretty close then, but when you stand even further away, the echoing gets even worse. And this is what it sounds like when I add an external microphone. And this is actually one of the Comica mics.
These are Comica Vimo wireless mics. I mean, generally speaking, the Vimo S is for smartphones and Vimo C for cameras and computers, and actually also for smartphones. However, the Vimo S MI has a lightning connection for iPhones, while the Vimo S UC has a USB-C connection. All three of these sets are wireless mic systems using 2.4G, which is basically like Wi-Fi. Many low-cost and digital wireless microphone systems operate in the 2.4 GHz band, which allows for worldwide license-free operation, and they also have relatively small antennas. So if you just need one or two wireless channels, then a 2.4 GHz system is fine. So these systems work by having one or two transmitters connected wirelessly to a receiver. All three systems come with two transmitters and one receiver, so you can mic up two speakers at once. The transmitter is also the microphone, so you just clip that to your clothing. And for best results, you should try to clip them as close to your mouth as possible. So let's look at the Vimo S systems first. If we open the box here, it's all nicely packaged. There's a little box here with cables and wind protectors. And there's the case which contains the two transmitters and the receiver, which is also a charging case. And when you flip open the box, it lights up. I have to admit that the geek in me loves that kind of thing. Now, I actually often use the Rode Wireless Go 2 system, and for some reason they don't have a charging case, let alone one that lights up when you open it. So that's a plus point for the Comica set. The number here is the charging case battery level, and the bars either side are the battery levels of the two transmitters. I really like that you immediately know how much power is left. So you've got four batteries here, one in each transmitter, one in the receiver, and another one in the case. So where is the receiver? Well, we just flip over the box and we slide it out from the bottom of the case. This then slots into the bottom of your smartphone. So I'm using a Samsung Note20 Ultra here, and if I switch into Pro Video mode, we can see the audio level bars. As well, we can see which mic it's using. So you can see it's now using the USB mic, and we're getting a level in the left channel. If we're using one mic and we want to record on both channels, all we do is switch to mono on the receiver. When the light is blue here, that means we are recording mono. And now you can see we're getting audio in both channels. The transmitter has a mic at one end, so make sure that end is near the speaker's mouth. It also has a button at the side with three functions. Number one, short press to mute the mic. Number two, if for some reason the transmitter and receiver become disconnected, just long press to pair again. And number three, when they are paired, if you long press, you will enable the denoiser. The light here indicates the following information. When it's unpaired, you'll get this slow blue blinking. When it's pairing, it starts to blink more rapidly. Or when it's not blinking at all, that means that it's paired. And when it's green, that means the denoise is on. And then when it's red, that means that the mic is muted. So the Vimo S receiver has a USB-C port in the side, and you can either use the splitter adapter, or you can just plug in headphones directly if they have USB-C, or you can use a charger and charge your phone through the receiver. Now, on the receiver, we have this orange volume control knob, and there's a plus and a minus sign to show you which way is up. One thing to note, at least regarding my Samsung, and I found this with other Androids too, is that there might be some audio leveling going on, and so this volume control doesn't really do much. But if I open up Filmmaker Pro Legacy, I can actually disable voice processing. So I played around with it and I found it didn't go over 0 dB even with the receiver turned up to max. Because that's the thing about audio, if it goes over 0 dB, that's when you get clipping, which is basically that distorted sound. I expect you're gonna get different results depending on the device you use and the software that you use. The two indicator lights here show connectivity with the transmitters 1 and 2. Each channel will blink blue when unpaired and then steady blue when it's paired.
One other thing is that there's a button on the side here, and if you press this button, it will light up without you having to open it, so you can see how much charge you've got left on your batteries.
Now let's try this on my MacBook Air. So I just plugged the receiver into one of the USB-C ports, and you might have to give permission if it's the first time you're using the device. Now, if I open up sound on my MacBook Air, then click the input tab, I can see the Comica mic is detected and I can switch to it. The way to test if the audio is actually coming from the Comica mic and not the laptop's mic, just tap it lightly on the mic itself, and only the mic that you tap is going to pick this up. Now, I don't have a PC to test it with this system, but I'm sure it's going to work fine as well.
So that means that we can easily use this mic for video conferencing, live streaming, and stuff like that. So one last thing to note is that the Vimo S transmitters and receiver take about 2 hours to charge, and then after that they should last about 5 hours. So now this is the Android version, and I'm plugged into my Samsung Note20 Ultra, and I have it switched to Pro mode. And this is what it's going to sound like. So now we have the denoiser on. And how this works is it uses software to work out what the noise is and try to remove it from the audio. And what you'll find is that the more work it has to do, the more synthetic your voice is going to sound. So now I've switched to Filmmaker Pro Legacy and I've got voice processing off, but I've still got the denoiser on. So let's switch denoiser off. So now this is without the denoiser and without voice processing. So this is the purest audio that you're going to get with this mic.
Now this is the iPhone version, and it works basically the same as the Android version. Just plug in the receiver and remove one or both of the transmitters and they will automatically connect. The camera app or any other app which uses your iPhone's mic should now automatically use the Vimo mic. Now iPhones don't have a Pro mode, so I just opened Filmmaker Pro and you can see that the Vimo mic is being used. And you can turn off voice processing and auto gain. And then you can just use the orange volume control knob to set volume.
Okay, so now I'm trying it with my DJI OM6. And I've got the Comica mic attached here. I've got the wind muff on. And I'm going to go outside and I'm going to see what kind of audio quality we get. Yeah, vlogging on the street. I don't do much vlogging on the street. And I'm using the OM6, iPhone 14 Pro, iPhone 14 Pro, and the appropriate Comica wireless setup. Oop. Yeah, so the good thing about the iPhone 14 Pro is that you can use cinematic mode in the selfie camera in 4K, so you can see yourself on the screen. And I'm getting a nice blurry background here. Let's put the denoiser on. Okay, now we have the denoiser on. And I'm walking up to the traffic. And now it is pretty noisy. So we're really putting it under some serious test here to see how well it works, the denoiser. It makes my voice go all synthy and horrible. Let's see what happens. So this is the beautiful Turnpike Lane in North London, and what's it sounding like? I'm going to turn the denoiser off. You can hear the difference. Yeah, it's blue, so that means it's off. And so this is without the denoise and lots of heavy traffic. So we're going to see if this comes out okay or whether it's completely destroyed by the sound of rumbling cars and buses and other parts.
The Vimo C comes in a small pouch. There's the charging case, transmitters and receiver. As well, in the pocket here, you will find some cables and the wind protectors. So there's actually 3 options for this kit. You've got the C1, C2 and C3. The C1 is just a transmitter and receiver, while C2 is 2 transmitters and a receiver. So this is the Vimo C3 kit, which has 2 transmitters, a receiver and a battery case. So just flip open the case and the battery level indicator here will tell you how much power is left in the case. And each bar indicates 25% worth of power. The transmitters and receiver are held in the case magnetically. Take one out and it automatically powers on. And the transmitter has this little mini screen here. So if I just take out one transmitter and the receiver, we can watch them power on and automatically connect. It's very simple, it's very efficient. And you can see that we have A and B transmitters. And this is showing that A is now connected. So we've got this battery level indicator for the transmitter, there's a level meter, and there's a connection strength meter. And there's also a battery level indicator for the receiver. If I just lightly tap the mic, you can see that it's receiving audio. So far so good. Now I need to connect the Vimo C receiver to a smartphone. And these are the cables that are included in the pouch. So we've got a TRS to TRS audio cable, and we've got a 3.5mm TRS to TRS audio cable. And there's also this adapter which connects into the receiver and allows you to charge and monitor the audio as you're going along. And then we've got the good old USB-A to USB-C connector. Thing is, to connect this setup to a smartphone or a computer, you need an adapter from 3.5mm TRS to USB-C for Android or to Lightning for iPhone. Anyway, I do have these adapters. One is for USB-C and one is for Lightning. And these were included in a small rig smartphone filmmaking kit. So let's hope that that works. So I connected the receiver to the adapter via the 3.5mm TRS to TRRS cable. And that's the one with the 3 black lines in the plug. TRS only has 2. And that connected to my Samsung. As you can see, the USB mic is attached and we're getting audio level. So let's look at the transmitter controls. Again, the mic is inbuilt into the top of the transmitter, so make sure that's facing the speaker's mouth. So we've got one light, which is the status indicator, and that indicates the following information. If it's blinking blue, then it's unpaired. If it's just constantly blue, then it's paired. When it's green, that means the denoise is enabled. And when it's red, that means the transmitter is muted. So the orange button is the power on, or it's a muting button. So just long press to power on and off. Short press to mute the transmitter. And if you do that, you're going to see that it registers as muted on the receiver mini screen as well. The button below the orange button is the denoise and the pairing button. Short press to enable denoise. Long press to pair with the receiver if for some reason they've become disconnected. And at the bottom, we have the 2 charging contacts either side of the USB-C charging port.
Just in case you wondered what those things were. Okay, now let's look at the receiver.
First, we have the 3.5mm TRS audio out, and this is where you need to connect the TRS cable, which then connects to your smartphone, camera, or computer via an adapter if need be. And below that, we have the orange power button, which also switches modes. So to power on and off, just long press. And then to switch between 3 different modes, you just short press. And those modes are mono, stereo, and safety.
Now the problem with using an adapter with the Vimo C is that you cannot get stereo audio. The only way to get stereo audio using this device is to use the 3.5mm cable, either the TRS to TRS or TRS to TRS. So therefore a smartphone that has a USB-C input or a Lightning input is not going to get stereo audio with this setup. And unfortunately you won't be able to use the safety channel either. But that said, if your device does have a 3.5mm audio input, I think the Sony Xperia smartphones, for example, still have 3.5mm inputs as well. My MacBook Air has a 3.5mm audio for headphones or for audio input. Or just a regular camera, they usually have the 3.5mm input for audio. And in that case, you'll be able to get all the functions of the Vimo C setup. And so if you do have that set up, here's what each function does.
In mono mode, whether you have 1 or 2 transmitters connected, everything will be recorded in mono onto both tracks of audio. In stereo mode, transmitter A will record onto one channel and transmitter B will record onto the other channel.
So this is great for recording two speakers if you want to be able to adjust the level of the audio in post, or to treat each voice with different effects. Because once you have the voices separated out, it means you can work on them separately later.
Now in safety mode, audio is split into two channels. But rather than separating out the two transmitters, one channel is going to be used as normal level, while the second channel will be recorded at -6 dB. So this is probably best used when you're using only one transmitter. So this means that you've got a quieter track in case something happens that peaks and causes distortion in the normal channel. So you can check the quieter channel and you should be able to rescue any damaged audio using that channel. On the other side of the receiver, we have the USB-C charging and monitoring port. So you can connect this to some kind of charging source, or you can connect USB-C headphones here to monitor the audio. Another option is to use the adapter which comes with the set, which allows you to charge with the USB-C and simultaneously monitor the audio with regular 3.5mm jack headphones. For example, you might have a power pack connected, and that means that you can keep using the unit if it's running out of battery. Below we have these two buttons, short press to adjust the audio level coming from each transmitter, and you can see on the receiver that it tells you what the audio level is of each transmitter, and it's from 1 to 4. So 1 is the quietest, 4 is the highest. But if you long press one of these buttons, you turn the display upside down. So if you have this clip somewhere and it's upside down so you can't read it, you can switch it. So that's really quite a nice touch, isn't it? And finally, the case has a USB-C charging port at the bottom. Now just bear in mind that a transmitter, receiver or case takes about 2 hours to charge, and the transmitter and receiver batteries last about 8 hours, and obviously the charging case gives you even longer than that.
Yeah, so what do you think? I think they're actually pretty good, and the sound is good. I think you have to be careful when you use the denoiser. One thing I really like is it's fast to use. So right now, just to set up this video, all I had to do was plug in the receiver, clip on the mic, and within seconds, it's ready to record. There's no messing about, no fiddling around with settings anywhere. This is on the iPhone, and even on the Samsung, I think it works pretty much the same. You just plug in, and off you go, plug and play. One thing to note is that it does remember the settings that you had it on before you switched it off. So for example, if you're out and you're filming and you set it to denoise, when you come back in, you might just put it all away and forget, and then set it up inside, and it's going to be still on the denoise. So you just need to check that. But that is also a good thing for speed, because you don't have to keep setting things up. Yeah, and if you do want to learn more about smartphone filmmaking, you're always welcome to join us on Patreon, where I've got ebooks to download, video lessons to watch, which I'm always adding to every month. There's filmmaking podcast, and you can also chat to me and others on the Discord server. So join us there. But other than that, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.